Hello there, you're watching Nightline with me, Nadia. Azmi. News making the headlines. Almina plane crash. Families can claim victims' remains beginning Sunday morning. And new COVID variant with high number of mutations found in the UK. Good morning. Autopsies on the remaining victims of Thursday's Beechcraft air crash near Bandar Elmina in Shah Alam, as well as DNA tests to confirm their identities, have been completed on Saturday. Selangor Police Chief Datuk Hussein Omar Khan said the remains of the 9 victims would be released to their respective families in stages beginning 9 a.m. on Sunday.
Butir-butir lanjut kita akan maklum pagi esok lah, sebab kita kena maklum perkara ini kepada keluarga dulu untuk keluarga buat persiapan, dan seperti mana yang telah diaturkan sebelum ni, semua mayat ni akan diserahkan bermula pukul 9 pagi esok akan dibawa ke Majlis Jamik Berampiran ini untuk diuruskan oleh pihak pasukan JAIS.
He said this to reporters at the Forensic Department of Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital on Saturday night. Earlier during the day, Datuk Hussein revealed that apart from DNA matching, the identification of the remains were also carried out based on the dental records and fingerprints. As many as 300 samples of body parts were sent to the chemistry department for DNA matching. The post-mortem involved 30 pathology and forensic officers to expedite the process. The 2:48 p.m. incident claimed the lives of 2 flight crew members and 6 passengers on board the aircraft, as well as an e-hailing driver and a P-hailing rider who were passing by the scene of the air crash. In the meantime, Transport Minister said a preliminary report on the investigations into Thursday's plane crash in Bandar Elmina Shah Alam will be prepared within 30 days from the date of the incident. The MOT added the Air Accident Investigation Bureau (BSKU) team has initiated a technical investigation based on Annex 13 Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation under the International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO). In a statement on Saturday, the MOT said the main purpose of the investigation was to determine the cause of the accident in order to save lives and prevent similar incidents in the future. The ministry added that it was not the purpose of the investigation to apportion blame or liability. As such, the ministry urged members of the public or any party with relevant video recordings or photographs of the incident to come forward and submit them to the BSKU to assist in the probe. The materials can be submitted via email or BSKU special line using the contact details as shown on your screen. The MOT also urged members of the public who were near the scene and witnessed the crash to contact the BSKU to facilitate the investigation. The ministry also appealed to the public not to spread images and videos of the victims who died in the air crash, as it would result in confusion and speculation that would only interfere with the investigation and offend the victims' next of kin. Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia (CAAM) is collecting information on all Beechcraft Model 390 Premier 1 aircraft being used in Malaysia. Its Chief Executive Officer, Datuk Captain Nur Azman Mahmud, confirmed that an investigation will be carried out following the MOT's directive on the matter. Datuk Captain Nur Azman said so far, the CAAM does not have the exact number of the aircraft model currently in operation in Malaysia. However, the agency was in the midst of identifying them from all over the country, including in Sabah and Sarawak, and expected all the details to be received soon. He added that the CAAM was also assisting the BSKU's technical investigation into the air crash in Bandar Elmina Shah Alam on Thursday. On Friday, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said he will ask the CAAM to conduct an investigation into all Beechcraft Model 390 Premier 1 aircraft being used in Malaysia following the tragedy, as the ministry did not want to make any rash decision about suspending the operation of the aircraft model. In Kedah, the remains of delivery rider 32-year-old Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Saleh, who was among those killed in Thursday's air crash in Bandar Elmina, Shah Alam, have been laid to rest at his hometown in Sungai Petani. His body was the first among the 10 victims of the tragedy to be released for burial on Saturday. Hafiz's family claimed his body at the Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital in Klang, Selangor at about 10 a.m. before the van transporting the remains arrived at Al-Huda Mosque in Kampung Jerung at 3 p.m. His cousin, 33-year-old Muhammad Akmal Zakaria, then led hundreds of congregants for the funeral prayers before the remains were taken to the Muslim cemetery near the mosque for burial at 4 p.m. A somber atmosphere engulfed the funeral as some 1,000 people, comprising friends, relatives and the local community, came to pay their last respects to Hafiz. Also present were Deputy Finance Minister Stephen Sim Chi Keong and Sidam Assemblyman Bao Wong Bao Ek. Sim, on behalf of Transport Minister Anthony Loke, also visited the victims' family and handed over 10,000 ringgit aid to them. On that fateful day, Hafiz was on his way to pick up his final order at a restaurant to deliver it to a customer in Bukit Jelutong before taking his break, but was tragically killed when the plane crashed as he was passing by the area. Meanwhile, Hafiz's sister Nur Hidayah said her brother, the eldest of 5 siblings, had planned to return to his hometown on Sunday to help out with her wedding solemnization next Friday. But her family has accepted his death as fate.
Kita bincang semua adik-adik nak buat apa-apa semua dan dia ada cakap yang sepatutnya dia balik lewat sedikit. Tapi minggu lepas bila ayah cakap abang nak balik awal, cakap abang nak balik awal. Okey, tak apa, kita tunggu abang balik awal. So nak balik awal betul dia balik. Sangat dipermudahkan bila grup Panda Abang sendiri tunggu kami pukul 5 pagi depan IPD. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, tak tahu nak cakap apa. Saya sebagai adik dia, saya tak tahu apa kebaikan abang saya yang sampai Allah memudahkan segala-galanya.
Nur Hidayah also pleaded to the public to stop spreading videos that showed him in the tragedy and to give her family some space to grieve for their loss. Meanwhile, Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah made a personal donation to Adlina Aisyah Ahmad Rusli, the wife of Idris Abdul Talib alias Ramli, who was among the victims of Thursday's air crash. The donation was handed over by Grand Chamberlain of Istana Negara, Dato' Azwan Effendi Zairakil Nainaini, when he visited Adlina at her house in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. 41-year-old Adlina was a Human Resources Administrative Officer at Istana Negara from 2011 to 2015. During the visit, Dato' Azwan also conveyed condolences on behalf of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria to Adlina and her family following the sudden passing of her beloved husband. In a Facebook posting on Saturday, Istana Negara said that the King and Queen also expressed their sadness over the incident and hope that Adlina and her family will be patient and persevere in facing this ordeal. Idris, who worked for the Pahang government, had previously taken leave to serve as a special officer to the State Local Government Housing, Environment and Green Technology Committee Chairman, Datuk Sri Johari Harun, who was also killed in the plane crash.
Suspek utama kes pembunuhan Ketua Jururawat Hospital Serdang Siti Kharina Muhammad Kamarudin direman selama 7 hari.
Si mati telah mati akibat kesan kelar yang ada pada lehernya.
Mangsa ditemui terbaring dalam bilik di atas lantai serta berlumuran darah.
Fail Mahkamah, Rabu 9 malam di TV3 dan stream secara HD ditonton.
The Malaysian Embassy in Sweden has issued a travel advisory for Malaysians residing in or travelling to the country in response to Sweden's recent elevation of its terror alert to the second highest level. This decision follows a string of public desecrations of the Quran, which has sparked protests across various Muslim nations and threats from militant groups. The embassy, through the advisory made available via its social media account on X, formerly known as Twitter, advised Malaysians to exercise caution and maintain vigilance at all times. In the event of an emergency, individuals are urged to dial 112 for help. The embassy also advised Malaysians to register with the embassy in Stockholm to facilitate communication and consular services. The international media has reported that the Swedish security service known as SAPO lifted the terror threat level to high, the fourth of 5 levels, for the first time since 2016. The move reflects Swedish concerns that repeated Quran burnings this year by a handful of anti-Islam activists have made the Scandinavian country a prime target for Islamic extremists. The Dewan Rakyat is considering increasing fines on members of parliament for unparliamentary behaviour when the House is in session by tenfold, from 1,000 to 10,000 ringgit per offence. Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul said MPs who violate the House rules may also face suspension. Tan Sri Johari said the Houses of Parliament Privileges and Powers Act 1952 can be amended to increase the stipulated fine to punish MPs for unparliamentary remarks or unparliamentary actions. He added that the move was to ensure every MP contributes to the betterment of the nation. Tan Sri Johari had previously expressed his wish to implement several reforms to ensure that the lawmaking institution was respected, including imposing tough measures against elected representatives who uttered racist, insulting and gender discriminatory words. He also had hoped that the Parliamentary Services Act 1963, repealed by the Barisan Nasional Administration under Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's leadership in 1992, could be reinstated. The Higher Education Ministry MOHE is considering introducing degree programs in technical and vocational education and training (TVET) in all polytechnics. Its Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Nordin said the proposal was under consideration for implementation as part of the 13th Malaysia Plan, as it would involve the provision of expert manpower, academic staff and facilities. According to Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid, the ministry was committed to enhancing TVET with regards to the allocation of spaces for skilling, reskilling and upskilling, as this was crucial in its efforts to provide and strengthen lifelong learning opportunities for the people. He pointed out that TVET graduates have also demonstrated strong marketability, outperforming graduates from academic courses. He added that his ministry was also determined to expand courses to attract more students to take up TVET. He also wanted to see the opening of more branch campuses for the Malaysian Technical University MTOD network under the 13th Malaysia Plan. Nurse found guilty of murdering 7 newborn babies. This and more from the Foreign Front after this breather. A new COVID variant that is causing concern among scientists due to its large number of mutations has been detected in London. According to the UK Health Security Agency, the variant, named BA286 mutation, was identified on Friday in someone with no recent travel history. The agency, however, said at present there is insufficient data to assess the new strain's relative severity or how likely it is to evade the protection offered by vaccines compared to other currently circulating variants. It added that it would continue to monitor the spread of the variant closely while checks to determine the risks it may pose continue. The first was reported in Israel, with the variant since being detected in Denmark and the United States. Thailand's former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra is set to return to the kingdom on Tuesday, which coincides on the same day with a key parliamentary vote that could end a political deadlock to choose a new PM. Thaksin has long said he wished to return home, but faces multiple criminal charges that he says are politically motivated. On arrival, he is likely to be taken to the Supreme Court and then to a special detention centre before being sent to prison. His return, however, will coincide with an afternoon vote on whether to approve Srettha Thavisin from Thaksin's Pheu Thai party as Prime Minister. To become a premier, Srettha needs a majority across the lower house of 500 elected MPs and the 250-member Senate that was handpicked by the kingdom's last junta. Parties linked to Thaksin have dominated Thai politics since 2001, but lost 2 prime ministers to military coups and another to a court ruling. In the meantime, a British nurse was found guilty on Friday for murdering 7 newborn babies and trying to kill another 6 in the neonatal unit of a hospital in northwest England where she worked. Lucy Letby, 33, was convicted of killing 5 baby boys and 2 baby girls at the Countess of Chester Hospital by injecting the sick or premature young victims with air, overfeeding with milk and poisoning them with insulin. Letby was also found guilty of attacking other newborns, often while she was working night shifts in 2015 and 2016. The verdict following a 10-month trial at Manchester Crown Court makes Letby one of Britain's most prolific serial child killers. She will be sentenced on Monday and has reportedly told her lawyers she will not attend court to hear her fate as she faces the prospect of never being released from prison. At least 7 people have died while 90 others wounded after Russia attacked the central square of a northern Ukrainian city in the latest escalation of violence as the war enters its 542nd day. Children and police officers were reported to be among the dead following the strike, which hit a central square in the city of Chernihiv, about 128 kilometers northeast of the capital Kyiv. According to Ukraine's Interior Ministry, the victims were on their way to a church to celebrate a religious holiday when the missile hit the city's main square, damaging a university building and a local theatre. The roof of the theatre subsequently collapsed after a fire erupted before it was eventually extinguished by the emergency services. Authorities said Russia has continued to launch drone attacks against parts of northern, central and western Ukraine, damaging civilian infrastructure at least in 2 regions. Kelantan suffers the biggest defeat in history. Sports when we come back. Malaysia Cup. 3 second leg of the round of 16 matches took place on Saturday night. Selangor FC booked a spot in the quarter-final despite losing to PDRM FC 1-2 in the second leg as they notched a 5-3 aggregate win, while Sabah FC went through a 4-1 aggregate victory over Kuching FC. At the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium, defending champions Johor Darul Takzim JDT confirmed their slot in the quarter-finals after thrashing Kelantan FC 10-0 in the second leg for a 15-1 aggregate win. A hat-trick from Bergson de Silva in the 21st, 43rd and 73rd minute, a brace from Takahiro Kunimoto and a goal each from Juan Muniz, Daryl Sham, Liberty Fernandez, Arif Aiman and Aisar Hadi helped the Southern Tigers to claim the biggest win in the Cup's history. Still on football, the German Bundesliga. England skipper Harry Kane scored on his debut as reigning champions Bayern Munich thrashed Werder Bremen 4-0. Former Manchester City winger Leroy Sané put the visitors ahead in the 4th minute before Kane, who has handed his full debut at Werder Bremen, collected Alphonso Davies' pass and tugged a low shot past goalkeeper Yuri Pavlenka in the 74th minute, giving the reigning champions a 2-0 lead in their opening game of the Bundesliga campaign. Sané added his second in the 90th minute before Matthijs Sterre, who came on a triple change that saw Kane make way in the 84th minute, wrapped up a 4-0 win for Bayern just before the final whistle. On to tennis, the 2023 Cincinnati Open. Alexander Zverev defeated Adrian Manarino to reach his first Masters 1000 semi-finals of the year. Manarino had held his service reliably but couldn't do much against Zverev's effectiveness, who ultimately secured a 6-2, 6-3 win in an hour and 12 minutes. With the win, Zverev extended his perfect Lexus ATP head-to-head record against Manarino to 8-love. He will next play Novak Djokovic in the last 4. Earlier, Djokovic crushed American #1 Taylor Fritz 6-love, 6-4 in just over an hour to seal his spot in the last 4. A win in the final in Ohio could return Djokovic to the #1 spot in the world rankings if other results also go his way. Also through to the next round was Carlos Alcaraz. The world #1 was earlier given a fright by world #70, Max Purcell of Australia, before finally winning in 3 sets, 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 to reach the semi-finals. Alcaraz faces Poland's Hubert Hurkacz in the last 4 on Saturday. When we return, Suhaizad, Nazri named as candidates for twin by-elections. Don't go away. The government's decision to use the services of satellite internet providers such as Starlink in areas which do not have good internet access is a temporary solution, while the long-term solutions are being implemented. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil said the internet service is suitable as a temporary solution because it is a plug-and-play, has fast internet speed and the price offered is also reasonable.
Untuk MCMC, kita lihat mungkin Starlink, Connect Me dan juga penyedia perkhidmatan internet satelit yang ada boleh membantu sebagai penyelesaian sementara ataupun interim solution untuk tempat-tempat sambil menunggu penyelesaian jangka masa panjang.
Fahmi said the government is also in discussions with the Health Ministry and Education Ministry to expand the use of satellite internet technology to schools and health clinics in Sabah and Sarawak. On July 15th, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the government plans to install 40 satellite internet devices from Starlink at higher education institutions nationwide to help students who are unable to study due to unreliable internet connectivity, following a virtual meeting with Starlink CEO Elon Musk. Former Johor State Legislative Assembly Speaker Suhaizan Kayat and Nazri Abdul Rahman have been named Pakatan Harapan candidates for the Pulai Parliamentary and Simpang Jeram State by-elections. Amanah President Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu made the announcement after their selection was finalised by the party's candidate selection committee for the two polls, which met on August 15th and 17th. In a statement on Saturday, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu said both candidates were chosen to defend the two seats which Amanah won in the previous election and will be introduced at the ceremony to commemorate the late Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub, scheduled on August 23rd in the Simpang Jeram State constituency. 50-year-old Suhaizan was the political secretary to the late Datuk Seri Salahuddin, who was Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister, while 56-year-old Nazri had served as an engineer for the Muar Municipal Council for 30 years and is the Bakri Amanah Division Deputy Chief. The Pulai Parliamentary and Simpang Jeram State seats fell vacant following the death of Datuk Seri Salahuddin, who was the incumbent of both seats on July 23rd. Meanwhile, Perikatan Nasional is expected to announce their candidates for the two seats next week. In Sabah, a teenage boy has been remanded after being suspected of stabbing his 9-year-old brother to death with a knife in Kampung Kina Pulidan, Ranau on Thursday. District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Simeon Lomudin said the victim succumbed to his injuries while undergoing treatment at Ranau Hospital. In a statement on Saturday, Simeon said police received a report of the incident at 11:27 a.m. from a man stating that his younger brother had been stabbed by his older sibling. Initial investigations also revealed that the victim was stabbed in the abdomen by the 19-year-old suspect while they were both in the living room at 5:40 a.m. The victim was then rushed to the hospital by neighbours but was pronounced dead at 11:10 a.m. Police are still investigating the actual motive behind the incident and did not rule out the possibility that the suspect may have mental health issues. The case has been classified as murder under the Penal Code. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look as visitors in Beijing were treated to a display of vivid humanoid robots, among others, at the 2023 World Robot Conference with new technology that upgraded the human-like robots' expressions and gestures. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for watching and stay safe.